approach show that allows for you to also put on your critical think caps, and of course, as we go engage. And my name is Udwak Daniel, and just bring it to your eardrums today is the sixth day in the month of August of 2024. And just as it is, we talk politics, we talk current affairs, and we talk everything in between. Well, just yesterday, we saw the foregoing that happens to border around the EFCC looking to scrutinize the local government, as just after the Supreme Court had given that strong order saying that, hey, we're declaring local government autonomy for local governments, and it brought quite a number of cheers, a lot of smiles on the faces of Nigerians. And to this effect, we are looking at, the aftermath of that. Of course, we saw how the Supreme Court had waded in, and of course, some of the changes that had come to bear, saying that, of course, the caretaker committees here and there should be dissolved so that we can have a fresh election that would allow for a new local government chairman and all of that, that would indeed begin to look into matters and affairs of the local governments. This is in a bid to ensuring that government is brought to the doorstep of every Nigerian. And then we saw states jostling here and there, left, right, and center. Everybody is trying to hold an election because it was also part of, the injunction that, look, any state that does not, have a proper election whereby local government chair is put or installed, right, or local government authority is installed, such a local government would be missing out of the big cake, right? But anyways, the journey towards local government autonomy in Nigeria has been a long and winding one. It's been marked by twists and turns that have quite shaped the country's federal structure. The recent Supreme Court ruling granting financial autonomy to local governments has indeed sparked a new wave of interest in the EFCC's commitment to scrutinizing local government activities. Now, the brief that we'll be looking into will be delving into recent local government autonomy journey in Nigeria, the concerns of the Supreme Court, and the EFCC's latest call to action, right? So Nigeria's local government system has undergone significant changes, though, since the country's return to democracy in 1999. Just to give you a little brief, so that in case you've not been following up you've not been brought up to speed as to what's going on with this very topical issue, you would indeed understand properly, right? So the 1999 Constitution had granted local governments some level of autonomy, but this was indeed limited by the federal government's control over funding and appointments, and you would find that one in section 7 of 1999 Constitution. But in 2013, something dramatic happened where the Nigerian Governors Forum (NGF) initiated a review of the Constitution, seeking greater autonomy for local governments. Now, that led to the passage of the Constitution Fourth Alteration Bill, I beg your pardon, in 2017. Now, that bill granted financial autonomy to local governments, and of course, that's what it is. So, but the bill was not signed into law by the president, leading to a Supreme Court challenge by the NGF. And in 2021, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the NGF, granting financial autonomy to local government, and then there has been some concerns, right? There's been some concerns about that. But because just recently, of course, was when the Supreme Court had finally, given the autonomy to local government in the true sense of the word. And the Supreme Court's ruling was motivated by concerns about the federal government's excessive control over local governments, which has hindered their ability to deliver basic services to citizens. Now, the court noted that the federal government's control over funding and appointments had created what you might want to call a culture of dependency, right, and corruption, right? And that, give in mind, has brought about the need for, some thought that says, hey, maybe, just maybe, if you recall, we had conversations like this. And some of the suggestions that you gave was that if we could allow for the EFCC to be in the process of the electioneering processes, to the place of appointments, the place of allowing these people who are serving, to get into the offices and all of that. Maybe if we started from now, we'd be able to control, what is indeed going on, and we would be able to, as much as not want to take over the leadership of the local government, in themselves, but at least let them know that there is a checkmating, right, system that runs and that works parallel to whatever it is that the local government, might be looking into doing in terms of managing our funds, in terms of, infrastructural development, in terms of other, great things that is yet to come, as we believe that the local government will serve, right? So the EFCC's, commitment to scrutinizing local government activities now becomes a response to the Supreme Court's ruling and the need to ensure accountability and transparency in local government administration. So the EFCC's chairman, Oloyede Kayode, had come out to saying that the commission will ensure to work with local governments to ensuring effective scrutiny and, of course, prevent corruption. Right? Preventing corruption. And that is what, indeed brings us to the discourse precisely. So some of the highlights of it would be the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, pledging to monitor local government activities, and this is to ensure good governance, accountability, and transparency. And this move also follows the Supreme Court's judgment granting financial autonomy to local governments. Now, the EFCC has emphasized its commitment to scrutinizing local government activities, warning that business is not going to be business as usual anymore, and as such, they will not be tolerating the business as usual script. Now, the Commission is highlighting the need for dedicated and development-minded individuals to manage local government administrations, and the EFCC representative Friday below stressed the importance of accountability, transparency, and citizen participation in good governance. Right? Some of the high points will also be the fact that the EFCC's commitment is to ensuring that accountability and transparency are there in the local government activities and all of that, and that there's also been the emphasis on increasing awareness, engagement, and accountability in local governance, and the acknowledgement of the fact that local government's efforts, to involve citizens in decision making should indeed be welcomed. In other words, it should be an open arms, policy system, right? But there are some concerns, and those concerns come in the form of questions, right? And we'll look at them and also deliberate on the questions that follow suit. But might I also bring to your understanding the fact that, I'll be joined with a guest who is indeed a comrade. Is Comrade Gerald Okachi, right? Comrade Gerald Okachi is a human rights activist, a public affairs commentator, and social analyst, and he's going to be adding his voice in the discourse this morning as we look at the topical issue once again. In case you missed it, EFCC moves to keep local governments in check. Good morning and welcome to you, Comrade Gerald Okachi.
Yeah, very good morning to you, to our wonderful people.
Right. Well, the EFCC has shortly after, of course, would it be 3 weeks ago now, where the local government had been granted autonomy by the Supreme Court, and to the cheers and jubilation of Nigerians. I remember that during having that conversation, we had Nigerians saying that, it's one thing to give local government autonomy, it's another thing to ensuring that they are indeed off the hold and the grims and the whims and of the state governors, right, and by extension the federal government, right, such that they'll be able to allow for democracy and good governance to get to the grassroots and begin to revolve in the manner for which they were created, being local government, and there has been some concerns about, it's just going to be, the same and one old story. Like, we'll just have the local government, and the next thing we have rubber stamp chairmen and who are just going to be answering to the call of the state governors at their beck and call and everything. And then there were also suggestions from family members right here on this platform who said, well, why not allow for the EFCC to be a part of the process? Because if they were a part of the process, maybe, just maybe, they'd be checkmates, to whatever excesses any local government chairman might want to, think of in his mind and everything, right? And now it seems as though the EFCC has indeed heard that call, and they are saying that they are going to keep the local government in check. And there's a fear that this might indeed somewhat override or seemingly deface the local government chairs or whoever is at the place of leadership at the local government level for them to carry out their responsibilities, as quite a number of persons are asking whether if the EFCC scrutiny would be effective in preventing corruption and mismanagement in local government. Others are saying, how will the EFCC ensure that local governments are held accountable for their actions? And then some other calls are saying, what mechanisms will be put in place to ensure transparency and citizen participation in local governance? But just before you attempt any of these questions, though, what does come to your mind? What does register in your mind when you see that the EFCC saying, I am putting checks on you, local government chairman?
Yes, I think is a call in the right direction with regards to EFCC saying that they will put in check with regards to the autonomy given to local government. But then is progress that we're still developing, because it's one thing to give a financial autonomy to a local government. Is another thing to ensure that there is election in the local government where mass-based people, people can freely, elect their leaders. Not the one we are seeing today, where we have either transition committee or acting chairman or different name they give to it. So it's one thing to give financial autonomy. It's another thing to implement and ensure that there's development in that regards. Having said that, I don't think honestly that EFCC have that capacity to checkmate 774 local governments, 36 states and FCT, and including National Assembly, judiciary, and other areas where their work, entails with regards to fraud and cyber and internet fraudsters. It's not easy. I think it's something that should be collaboration, not just EFCC. There should be NFIU, there should be ICPC, there should be Nigerian Police Force, etc., to see that all these things are put in check. Then we should also look at strengthening our institutions of government. That is one of the institutions of government that we need to really work hard to see how we can review some of the acts that we are there. This is a Freedom of Information Act, where whatever you make inquiry for, you can easily get it, and with the speed of time, not like what we have today. There's hardly any state government in Nigeria today that you will put up a request, of information that you can easily get it, even in 6 months' time. They will frustrate you. They will only make you see what they want you to see. You understand? I think we should need to strengthen those areas. When we strengthen those areas, people themselves will be the checkmates to these local governments. You understand?
Right.
The masses that vote them will be the real checkmates, and not these agencies of government that maybe today you find take for example the semi-EFCC. Few weeks or few months ago, we have two issues we can use as a reference point with regards to checkmating economic and financial crimes and other aspects of it. Like we had with Bobrisky being accused. And finally, I think not just being accused, Bobrisky being seen as violating our currency, abusing our currency. He was sentenced. At the same time, we have issue of chief priest for the same offense. And we saw how he navigated in his own case. So it shouldn't be that it will be used as a means of victimization or even tackling people. You understand? It should be something that what goes for A should go for B. It shouldn't be what goes for A will go for A, what goes for B goes for another thing, you know. I think the real checkmate should be the people. And how the people can really checkmate their leaders is by strengthening institutions, by strengthening agencies, by strengthening commissions. We have a lot of wonderful laws, but implementation is another problem. So if we strengthen these areas where people can easily have access, know what is it? I think this present administration, I will give them kudos with regards to level of information they give out with regards to allocation and sharing. You understand?
Right.
If that allocation sharing, you know, gets to local government now that Supreme Court have at least done justice in that regards to see how he breaks these joint accounts that governors fraudulently enacted, you know. If anything is going to local government, it's time we begin to do just like this awareness this wonderful station is doing. Awareness to those in charge of the local councils, local government, you know, to let them that whether governor appoint you, nominate you, implement one way or the other, put you there, you are accountable to the people. So it will not be issue of because you are loyal to your governor, they send money to you, he will fraudulently use another means to collect it back. Whether he collects it or not, the onus will lie on you, the consequences will be on you. So if we begin to carry out this sensitization at different languages, to our locals, that okay, look at the new situation on ground now, look at the new situation we are facing currently. You will see a lot of things will be in place. Part of the challenges we are facing today, if this judgment is implemented in the next 2 years very well, over 60% of our problems will be solved.
How much percentage?
These issues, yes.
How much percentage did you say? Yeah.
60% of our problems.
60.
Both economy, security, development will be solved. If you look at the countries that have progressed, or if you go back to our early life of our nation from 1960s downwards, when there was life into local government, you see there are a lot of competitions. Every local council, local government goes for what works for them. If you know that your people are good in commerce, in industry, in crafts, in design, in farming, each local government goes for what works for them. If your local government is into marine economy, there's fishery and others, you will see they will make much commitment. They will put their money there and see how they develop it. If those ones that they don't have anything at all, they will devise means of creating innovations that will propel development to their local government. It will not be issue of everybody's coming to the center to come and share again. When local government was working, that was when you have rice pyramid, granite pyramid. That was when you have palm oil, you know, flowing in Nigeria. That was when you have cocoa factories. You understand? If this Supreme Court judgment is fully implemented, believe me, in the next 3 years, most of the challenges we are facing today will reduce, and the attention to the center will drastically reduce. Well, it will no longer be people, everybody. Once you are done with your studies, you are looking at the cities where to, you know, either settle. Right. It should no longer be like that.
Right.
We'll go down to their villages to develop it. And the settled dwell there. There will be no issue, pressure on our economy or our currency. Because this movement of trying to settle in the cities, urban areas, you know, put pressures on almost everybody. People are making effort to see how they pay it, to live up to expectations. But with this judgment, honestly speaking, is a massive one. If it's well implemented, honestly implemented,
quite a number.
Many professors will settle in their village.
Yeah.
Many lecturers, many engineers, many lawyers will settle in their locality and ensure that what works there works very well.
Right. Quite a number of Nigerians have said, you know, that if not for the Supreme Court's autonomy given to the local government, that's very aspect of governance has not been quite interesting to not many Nigerians. Do you think that with the EFCC saying that we will scrutinize local governments, would that open a vista for people participation in governance?
I don't think. When I started, I made mention that it's not EFCC doesn't have that capacity because, you start with incident before you even get to that point. We have 36 states. So far, since the creation of EFCC to date, we have had over close to 200 and something governors from 1999 to date. How many have they been able to convict? Let's make a sample with recent development. Few weeks ago, a few months ago, we saw EFCC struggling to arrest former governor of Kogi State. How far have they gone with it? This is one ex-governor out of numerous. The same EFCC in the past, we have it on record and on authority that most of those people running affairs today as ministers or senators, we are under EFCC watch. Some are even in Nassau Villa. They made every effort. How have they been able to convict them? It becomes a tool that you use to checkmate opposition. If maybe your views does not correspond with whatever the ruling class was, they will now dust your file or look at your file. You will now subpoena. So EFCC saying they will checkmate local government. It's not something we should be celebrating, but it's a good one.
Especially without interfering on their autonomy. That's the point. Not trying to usurp the power of the local government, or not trying to serve as how do I put it, as a threat to the local government in itself. That's a concern.
I think the essence of checkmating is to ensure that there's a proper implementation with regards to Supreme Court judges. That maybe once allocation is given to local government, they should ensure that there's a judicious use of it without diverting it for economic or personal interest or what have you. I know the essence of it is plus or minus. Anyway you look at it, it's strict. At least to make whoever that is in charge to sit up. But then I think the recheck should be to the people and not to agency that one cannot easily hit his chest and say, okay, they have done marvelously well so far. If you look at antecedents, you understand? I use Yaya Bello as a case study because at a point you saw the chairman of EFCC hitting his chest that he will resign if he doesn't get Yaya Bello to account for over 80 billion. If he doesn't get Yaya Bello to do this, to do that. Up to now, Yaya Bello has not been able to, the location of Yaya Bello has not been able to identify.
And he has not resigned either. So maybe there's hope.
Neither. Exactly. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's not just be playing to the gallery. I think what we should be doing, just as the Eagle FM is doing, is to sensitize people, bringing it to the poor. That people will conscientize people that this is the new direction the development of Nigeria is going. Getting people to know that there's restructuring or reforming with regards to the system of government. There is no longer where we have governors who see themselves as demigods, because that is what over 70% of them are. You understand? Begin to let them know that whoever the governor appoints, if you have a name to protect, you have integrity, you have a family, you have a community to represent, you should not be a fool to the governor. If pressure becomes too much, you resign for your name's sake, or you let the people know. Because as it stands today, if their allocations goes to these 704 local governments, and maybe one governor, call it one super governor, who has so much influence, because nowadays one governor can buy form for all his local government for election, or even what they do, there's not even election at the state level, because there's hardly you see any state that will conduct election and you see opposition winning. Now he will coerce those ones, making them to even sign their resignation before without date. There are a lot of tricks they use, making them to be loyal more than even the people that they are supposed to be loyal to, making them to be loyal to us more than even the constitution. So we should let them know the consequences. If you do this, any citizen or indigenous person in that local government can file an action against you. It's not necessarily waiting for EFCC.
Okay.
Because you're able to get evidence that so XYZ was given to local government chairman for the development of that local government, and it was diverted. You file action. Don't just depend on whatever to either governor or EFCC or ICPC to take action.
But then
every indigenous person has the right.
It brings you to the question of whether or not such a person, well, because I mean, there's a place, I want to believe that might be the whistleblowing mechanism. So where's the protection for such a person? How can the EFCC protect whistleblowers who come forward with such information on local government malpractices? That's another thing. You understand?
Yes, that is why I'm saying we need to strengthen our institutions. It shouldn't be that if you want to file for criminal, this morning we saw one of the headlines that says that I think one of the courts, nullified the privatization of Nigeria Airways. You understand? It's individual that his bodies that instituted it. It's not institutions like EFCC or ICPs that will go institute such suit. I think if we begin to strengthen our institutions, that indigenous persons, citizens can take action against any elected or any leader that we find wanting. Not just the one that you do, it will be frustrated. It will make a lot of sense. It doesn't necessarily need that once you file you need to be a whistleblower to go and notify law enforcement agencies like EFCC or ICPC that look at what is happening. No, you don't need that because if you file action, your security will be, your protection will be there. God will give you protection. You understand? Unlike the one we have today, you see something, you want to say something, and you will be implicated. And at the end of the day, no protection, no security for you. The same person you reported, we now know that you are the person that reported him and go after you.
Okay. Well, anyways, let's put it back to your thoughts now and just open the phone lines so the Nigerians can have their voices heard loudly and clearly in the arena of Eagles Outlook, as we still look at the EFCC's move to keep local government in check. And there's been talks about the EFCC being used to witch hunt. There's also been talks about whether or not the EFCC has the capacity to handle, this scrutiny. There has also been talks about the fact that if we are able to strengthen the local government in itself, the mechanisms within the local government should be able to fish out those who are aiming to use that very agency or that platform or their platforms or offices to loot the country dry, right? But then, what is the best in your thoughts? Is this a way forward for Nigeria, or should we really focus on allowing not just the EFCC but every other security personnel agency to be a part of this one? Because some persons have really expressed so much hope, in the local government ever since the local government got autonomy, that this indeed would be the government that indeed is for the people, of the people, maybe by the people as well, because it is believed and expected that local government should be that government that brings the government very, very close to the people. Well, the number is 0907 353 0044. The other number would be 0908 766 8888. And the WhatsApp portal number is 0909 705 4450. Hello and good morning. Hello. Okay, that's a missed right there. You can keep that call coming through. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, Yudi.
Yes, good morning to you, please.
Good morning to your guests and all other callers and listeners.
Right.
Felix from Lambata.
Felix, welcome aboard. Let's get straight to it.
Yes, Yudi, EFCC, after the tenure of Ribadu, has not really been helping matters.
Right.
You can, if you look around, you will discover that even the cybercrime has increased. Why? Because the main sponsors of criminality, whether in cybercrime or in governance, are not really targeted. It's the minor criminals that are all the time being prosecuted. And this issue of plea bargaining is not really helping matters.
Okay.
During the time of WAGO, of course, you can also attest to the revelations that follows Magu's tenure. How EFCC and we are collecting money and the money are not seeing, the assets that were recovered are not seen. It's corruption, except we look into the area of corruption and handle corruption, have a change of mindset. We'll continue we'll continue in this trajectory, and they will keep on lamenting without any answer. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Felix, right there. Felix says it is an issue that pertains corruption, and if we're not able to nip corruption in the bud, we might not just be able to see the light, which is supposedly supposed to be shone at the end of a tunnel. But let's hear from you right now. Hello and good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, this is
Oh, that's a miss right there. Okay, let's take this call. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, UD.
Yes, good morning.
This is Alamin.
Alamin, welcome aboard.
From St. Yes, thank you. I greet our guest. UD, unfortunately, my optimism about local government autonomy died a natural death. And when I continue to, see and hear the reaction of majority of Nigerians, both on social media platform and even in real life. I think the local government and the state, as we know it, is no longer it's no longer the concern of the masses. The concern of the masses is Aso Rock, what happened in Abuja. So to the mindset of millions of Nigerians, Nigeria start and end in Abuja. So that is the reason why you could see there's a lot of things that have happened recently. You could see when the Fubara appointed caretaker committees, and the people come and supported him. They say, if we can have done so, it is a purely vibe of anybody once the political interest of somebody they just hate. Anything that is against him, whether it is against the masses, they don't care. They go with their emotions. We saw how they reacted, and they supported, Fubara 100%. We saw how they are reacting in Oyo State. The 33 local government chairmen in Oyo State, now they just broke away from Argon. They said they are not part of Argon anymore. And we see how they are reacting. So at the end of the day, local government has died a natural death. Unfortunately, we can only hope for the best. But the people have shown that they are not interested in local government to hold them accountable. They are not interested in the governors in the state. Their focus is on the president. And let us see how all of this will serve all of us well. Thank you so much.
All right, Alamin right there saying as far as he is concerned, local government has died a natural death. Well then, we're still looking at this. I mean, he stated the issue of the Fubara, appointing as the 23 man, 23 non-indigene, into caretaker committees, I think, for local government council, about 23 of them. So the caretaker committees, however, were at the time yet to have access to the secretariat of the local councils, which have been, taken over at the time by the police. Yeah, but then we are still seeing conversations and still taking your calls, and then we'll get back with our guest in a short bit. All right, that's a miss. Comrade Gerald, are you there?
Oh yes, I'm here.
You've heard Nigerians, family members, giving their thoughts right there. With Alamin, of course, being the latest, saying that as far as he's concerned, it seems as though Nigerians are not even focusing on the local governments anymore. We are more focused on the president. In other words, what we should be focused on, we are not focusing on. What we probably should cut some slack and give a pat in the back is what we are all over about. And he says, of course, the local government has died a natural death. How do you see all of that?
Well, to me, I don't think that local government authorities or local government existence in Nigeria is completely dead. But I think successive governments, at the state level, have weakened that third tier of, third tier of government. They are weakening local governments to the point that it's just a mere structure that you keep there. But if you look at what is happening in FCT, where local councils in FCT are working, you will see that there's still some life to what the current administration is doing and reviving the situation, And I think that will unbundle a lot of attention that's being given to the center, because issues of healthcare, primary healthcare, education, agriculture, and even to an extent, level of infrastructure will be, directly connected with local government. No longer be where everybody will be looking up to states, federal government to do this or that. It will give a lot of things. So I think this one of the things that in fact, the major thing that weaken local government is this joint account that we are those appointees, whether you call it caretaker, transition, or whatever you call it, that we are weakening. A situation where at the end of the month, whatever that comes to them, less than 5% will be given to them. By the time they pay local government staffs, they have nothing left with them, not even to, a clear bush will be left with them. It will be just that they are just existing. But with this financial autonomy, a lot of things will come up, a lot of life will come to the local government, a lot of development will certainly come. So I don't think it's completely dead. And these efforts by this administration to see how they revive it, and the life given to it by the Supreme Court, if well implemented, a lot of things will be fine. I'm sure of that. And I believe that in 3-4 years, we will certainly, whatever we are, hit our chest, say that is a step in the right direction.
Well, another thing that Nigerians are saying is we would be glad if the EFCC, that's talking about the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, would bring out a roadmap or constantly come up in our faces, letting us know, up to date, measures, scrutiny measures that they are taking, or scrutiny activities that they are taken into consideration towards ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in how they go about, putting these scrutiny effects, or punitive. No, I wouldn't call it punitive because they're not punishing anybody, but they are just there as a voice of conscience, right? And they say that, of course, it's going to be scrutinizing the local government. Do you not think that in a place of transparency, we should be carried along in the process, so that should anybody want to rise up and say, well, we think that the EFCC is trying to witch hunt, is trying to do this, is trying to do that, which is inimical to the progress of local government, the EFCC indeed should be able to say, okay, here is what we did, here is what we are doing, this is what we are putting in place, this is, the public awareness that we are raising so that people get to see what we are doing. Do you think that will be in line at this point in time, so that it doesn't seem to us as though this is a power tussle, kind of thingy, or it doesn't seem as though the EFCC is being used in one way or the other by political juggernauts right there. Do you share in that, or is it just okay the way that it is? Well, I mean, he is out now, but we'll try to get back with him. And that's just been the thought about this. I mean, quite a number of Nigerians are saying, hey, the FCC, if you're talking about being transparent and all of that, you've got to raise public awareness. We have to have that awareness as to regards what it is that you're putting in place. What are those activities that you're engaging in to ensuring that you don't cross the line, right, in that regard. There are also some places of what follow-up action, should or will the EFCC take after identifying malpractices in, local government activities, right? And then there is yet another recommendation that will border around, setting out clear guidelines. Are there clear guidelines and criteria for the EFCC's scrutiny of local government activities to prevent arbitrariness, right? Are there guidelines like that? Because if there are not guidelines, then it might just be seem as though we are just shooting into empty space, and that may not really bring quite a number of, or the results that we are hoping to see. But according to the EFCC representative, Friday Abello, he said good governance encompasses three essential elements: accountability, transparency, and citizen participation. And this shows that the EFCC is very well aware of the fact that there needs to be, some transparency, accountability, and the third part, which not a lot of people are talking about, is the place of citizen participation, where our guest, Comrade, Okachi Gerald, had said that, look, we have a responsibility to also be that checkmate to our local government, across board. I mean, the 774 local governments in the country. Well, welcome back, Comrade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just what it is. Now, we've seen also strong statements that also has been made by Friday Abello, who happens to be the EFCC representative. It says we need dedicated and development-minded individuals to manage local government administrations. And Nigerians are saying that can only come through an effective local government elections. And, of course, the Waziri Adio, who happens to be Agora policy founder, had said local government areas are the least trusted, least capacitated, and least interesting to the public. Do you share with in these thoughts, and what recommendations do you think can be put in place to ensuring that we don't have a crossing the line between the EFCC and the local governments?
Oh yes, I share. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, yes, I believe in these recommendations, but then all these recommendations, if cannot be effective or working through without a constitutional amendment that will give life to it. You understand? Okay. We have currently now we have our laws that even recognize local government that give it life, but because of certain clauses that we have in our constitutions that make it difficult for even local government to function very well. So I think it's constitutional amendment that will help that. Then talking about people of impeccable character to lead at the local government, I think it's within the communities to do that. You understand? Okay. If at the community levels, leaders, communities choose who their leaders are, either in autonomous community or village head or even at the monarch, at any category, they can easily select who will be their leader and possibly assemble like minds that will guide him on how to lead them right. Because what works for A may not work for B. So I think the most important thing we need to do now that we have gotten financial autonomy to the local government is to see that we amend our constitutions to suit this judgment, to give life to it. One of the areas we need to amend is to see that INEC are the institutions that will conduct elections, not those at the state level, whether you call it ISEC, LEGSEC, BESEC, and whatever SEC you call it. It should be Independent National Electoral Commission that conducts election. And we shouldn't duplicate the work of INEC, just like we have seen at the National Assembly, especially at the Green Chamber. They said that there's a move to create another commission agency that will organize local government elections. That shouldn't be the case. It's just like the way they weaken police by creating multiple security agencies. At the end of the day, most of the respect that police commands begin to wade away. I think they should amend the constitution, give the jurisdiction of conducting local government election to the Independent National Electoral Commission. You understand? Then they should make it a legal compulsory too, that we can make use of electronic voting. Make it mandatory and a legal too, that IRF must be a tool for election. It shouldn't be something that you cannot use with regards to litigation and other things. You understand? Mm-hmm. Those things should be looked at the way they amend all of them. You see that it will no longer be where party A is at the center. Once they conduct local governments, everything in that state will become for that party. You understand? It makes it weakens other opposition even to engage. And constructive criticism may not even be coming, because it will look as if you are just pouring water on a rock. You understand? I think the best thing they can do, let us amend our constitution to suit the Supreme Court judgment, so that whenever election is conducted, the best can emerge.
All right. Okay, well, let's still take your calls right there. But then we see a couple of messages right here via the WhatsApp. Let's just go quickly take it. This one right here says, good morning once again, UD. Good morning to you. EFCC to keep local government in check. I give kudos to EFCC for this move. The local government should have a guideline for expenditure. Also, items of expenditure must be stated clearly so as to limit discretion in spending public funds by local government chairmen. Also, proper administrative structure with a clear organization for accountability should be put in place. However, the citizen should not leave the check to EFCC alone. When they see something, they should say something. That is the way to go. Yusuf is saying that all the way from Wusei too, and away from Yusuf right there. Thank you, by the way, Yusuf. And to Samuel from Kuje. Samuel is saying, greetings once again. Okay. It says, it is good for the local government to have autonomy. With this, any local government chairman that complains that governor is hijacking the money that is meant for them will explain how the money got to the governor. They should have their accounts with a bank in their locality so that they will not be going to the state headquarters to make withdrawals. Let the people be the ones to checkmate the local government chairman and councillors and put them on their toes. Thanks, UD. Okay, it says have a great day. Have a great day to you too. We should take this call and then we'll come back with a message and wrap it up. Hello and good morning.
Hello, good morning, my brother.
Good morning to you,
my
please.
name is
GB.
Good morning to your guest.
Yeah,
your guest has spoken very well.
right.
But I want to disagree with you on the aspect that maybe the local government, by the time EFCC go there, they will not be effective, they will not be supporting corruption. Let me tell you something. The local government chairman, they don't have immunity. And we don't have immunity. The EFCC have the power to query, to check their record. And when anyone find one thing, who is the defaulter will be prosecuted. On that ground alone, that will send a sound warning to them. Even though the governor appointed them, nobody want to go and be in the cell while the government is enjoying. So on that ground, there will be some check and balances among them. They may not be perfect. It may not be all totally 100%. What I'm saying is that the fear that they don't have immunity shows that at any time they can get them arrested, they can get them prosecuted if they do anything untoward. So if the governor likes, let him go and carry his family member and become the local government chairman. But what is there is that NFIU is there, the ICPC is there. The law does not cover immunity. The immunity does not cover them. So on that ground, I believe that there will be check and balancing, and some people also will know that, look, I don't want to put my hand in something I cannot defend. Right. But secondly, just like somebody said, we also will try to ask the local government question. Now they are getting money. That they protest now. I've not seen any protest that say governor address us. The only say parents should address them. at this time, we should also query the local government in Abuja here. All this AMAC, all this something. Let the press go to them and start asking them questions. How are you spending allocation given to you? Now you have your money coming directly. We want to see how you spend it. By the time you're asking them questions, they will know that they are accountable to us as citizens because they are the closest to us. They are the one that can attend to all the drainages, all the blockages, all the bad roads in the rural area. Also in the area of agric, you put them on their toes to make sure that they support agric because it is their own function. If they can't do that, the pressure will reduce from the federal government. So I'm believing that AFC should do their work very well and make sure that no one of them is allowed to spend that money in the way it should not be spent. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, GB, for that one. And now let's just get to this, these messages too precisely, and of course we get back with our guest and call it a close. This one says, "Good morning, amiable UD." Okay, okay. Good morning, UD, and the amiable guest. Okay, I get that. James from Suleja is saying the problem with the whole system are the manipulation of institutions. However, how effective have the EFCC been checkmating governors, ministers, and even other public office holders? We saw the whole charade of the EFCC pursuit of Yahaya Bello recently. We have seen how persons manipulate the judiciary to get judgments and counter-judgments for and against prosecution. The major issue we face are institutional until we sanitize the judiciary and legislature to come up with watertight legislations that completely guarantees local government autonomy, starting from the electioneering process down to their duties and functions. We are all but running in circles. The EFCC does not need to monitor or checkmate local government any more than they have to checkmate state government and federal government. Let's not forget, the local government is supposed to be an arm of government and should enjoy its own complete autonomy and freedom, just like others do. All right, this would be the last one. Checks and balances is imminent in all government activities. However, we should always have it in mind that people who are in any position of authority are accountable to God and humanity. Everything will go well if we all do what is right, always and at all levels, be it at the federal, state, and local government levels. God bless Nigeria. Sanusi from Suleja is saying that. Well, comrade, what will be your icing on the cake on this very one, as it seems Nigerians are very supportive of the EFCC being a part of the process?
Well, I think EFCC have made a valid step, in the right direction to see how they will put pressure with regards to forcing those managing the local government to do the right thing. But then, I think one of the things we need to do is to do more of a public awareness sensitization campaign, letting people know the situation on ground. Then we look at, just like they are another arm of government, just like the state and the federal. We should look at the judicial decisions in this judgment, the legislative actions, the policy formulation, the capacity building, the monitoring and the evaluation, the public awareness engagement. If we ensure effectiveness in all of this, it will certainly move our country forward with regards to where we all want it to be.
Right. Well, thank you so much, though. I appreciate your time with us. Comrade Gerald Okachi, you are a human rights activist, public affairs commentator, and social analyst. Thank you for bringing your voice on this one today.
My gratitude.
Appreciate. Right, and of course, thank you to each and every one of us that have also added our voice to the discourse this morning. I mean, there's no gainsaying the EFCC's commitment to scrutinizing local government activities might just be a step in the right direction towards ensuring accountability and transparency. But then, one thing that we might also want to put at the back of our minds is the fact that addressing the challenges also facing the local government autonomy in Nigeria requires some sort of comprehensive approach that includes capacity building, funding constraints, political interference, and sustainability. Now, by implementing, the recommendations, there might also be a need for Nigeria to ensuring that effective local government autonomy and promotes good governance. I mean, that's the bane of it. That's why we are having this conversation, right? But this is where we draw the curtains. Thank you so very much for the messages via the WhatsApp portal. Indeed, it does serve fit rightly. Tomorrow would be yet another day, but then keep in mind that 10 o'clock will be time for the Midday Extra Show. My name is Udwak Daniel. Have a blessed day.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
This is Eagles 102.3 News, your number one radio experience you can count on.